real estate. He is indeed a premium chief executive officer, having been listed among top 10 CEOs in Nigeria. His empathic nature is transparently overwhelming and has gained a global recognition. He was made a valued executive member of the Global Nonviolence Conference Service Series incorporated in USA, with notable leaders as Honorable Andrew Young and Suarez Ramos as members. He hails from Mbosi in Ihiala, Anambra. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with every joy, let's receive Barrister Allen Onyema, the Chief Executive Officer of Airpeace Nigeria.
Thank you very much. The representative of the Minister of Aviation here present. The indefatigable MD of FAAN, my friend Captain Yadudu. Excuse me. Does this work? Okay. Distinguished guests, please permit me to stand on whatever protocol that must have been established at the beginning of this program some days ago. When I don't invite me to come here, I hope at the time I finish, I'm not going to enter trouble. I hope some of the things where I go talk here not go put me for wahala. Well, we are here to discuss aviation, facilities, equipment leasing, and financing. Before I go on, I want to thank the management and staff of FAAN for making it possible for us to have this program at this point in time. I believe we are here to explore ways of making the industry better. So some of the things we are going to say here today are just like feedback to make us get the desired improvement we've all been yearning for. So it's not a time for throwing blames at anybody or at each other. It's pure feedback that will help. And I must say that Captain Yadudu, since you're coming to FAAN, a lot of improvement have been registered. I also know the challenges you face in the discharge of your duties, some man-made, some environmental, some institutional. But in all, if you ask me, you know, Allen Onyema is a very fearless figure. I don't pressing anybody, but if you ask me, I will tell you that you have been very excellent in the face of daunting odds. So you keep it up. The aviation industry in Nigeria has been faced with myriads of problems. And these problems have become a kind of albatross inhibiting the growth of airlines in Nigeria making it possible for airlines in Nigeria to most times exit the stage as they're approaching their 10th year in existence. It's a critical sector of the economy that has contributed at least about 0.5% to the GDP of this country, but could also do more. But this has been achieved despite the monumental odds we all face. And going by its geographical position in Africa and the world, Nigeria should have been one of the best hubs ever. But we are not just having that. Given our population also, and this strategic location, plus the size of our economy, this should have been what we should have been reaping today. Unfortunately, our infrastructure deficit, amongst other challenges, has hindered this from becoming a reality. For instance, to date, there's no airport in Nigeria that is equipped with a proper transit facility for people to seamlessly transit through our airports to other destinations in and around Africa and to the rest of the world. This would have enabled efficient passenger and cargo transfers. So I find it very disturbing. It's very easy to blame Nigerian airlines for every woe, everything we suffer in this country. Oh, the airlines are bad, Nigerian airlines are this, they're that. The Nigerian airlines are being demonized every day. Nobody is giving us any chance. Nobody is giving us the, that benefit of doubt. But you need to understand the environment under which we operate. Some people you think should be defending us, take to the stage at every given opportunity to badmouth and demonize Nigerian airlines for not being able to behave the way Ethiopia Airlines is doing in Ethiopia, where they get people from different parts of the world, converge them in Ethiopia, and from there they move to other parts of the world. Show me one airport in Nigeria where you can do transit. None. We don't have it. So these are things we need to address. Nigerian airlines are ready to do all that. We try to do it. We do some 6 or 8 African nations flying, some international destinations. We've been trying to see if we can bring people to congregate in Nigeria, then from there move to other climes. When you market these issues to other countries in West Africa, they will tell you that your country has no transit facility. And that is the obvious truth. So these are the issues. Airport infrastructure deficit. The infrastructure is largely inadequate and not able to compete with the facilities in other parts of the world and some parts of Africa. Security screening posts and equipment. We need significant improvements in this. Like I was saying, when he came in, what he met in the system, because I was there before he came in, what he met, it has improved, but there's still more room for improvement on this security screening posts and equipment. Flying maybe at 12 noon, and the time is 11:30 in the morning. You see Port Harcourt of 3 o'clock in front. You tell him, step aside, he will assault you. I've been on this queue for long. So what the check-in agent will do immediately will be to move over, shut down the platform for Kano that is about to start boarding, to be checking in Port Harcourt. Maybe the next 10 lines might be Enugu. If you know you have 5 minutes, you will not invite me to this place. So that we can talk about these things. So this infrastructure, they need to be improved. And I think something is being done about it. Recently, FAAN decided to do something, but it's still not adequate for the kind of the giant of Africa we are referred to. Common user terminal equipment, the queue system, which is pivotal to the history management and facilitation of passengers, is lacking at our major airports, and where available, is also not inadequate and inefficient. Baggage handling account standards provides for a 45-minute window for arriving passengers to disembark, clear customs, immigration, and to retrieve their baggage. Unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, this is not the case at our airports. This is not the problem of FAAN. The ease of doing business is almost zero. When people come into our airports, you pass customs, you pass immigration, you pass port health, you pass quarantine. I'm sure every uniform in this country, I'm sure even Boy Scouts and the Girls Brigade will be there to anything in uniform. And they disturb you. So the ease of passengers transiting through Nigeria, getting out of the airport is hampered. These things have to be looked into. Airline operators, congestion at major airports. The fact that 4 major airports in the country have exceeded the capacity for which they were designed, both airlines and passengers are daily subjected to undue congestion, resulting in delays at our airports. In addition to the terminal capacity constraints outlined above, the available airside facilities, apron and parking bays are typically clogged up because they are not adequate to provide the real estate required to accommodate the fleet of domestic airlines. We had these problems at GAT, where APs will pack over 20-something planes. ARIC will bring in about 8 or so, and so many others. And in the morning, you find out that your 6:30 flight is covered. Other aircraft are covered. People are parking outside the marked spaces because of congestion. So we need improvement. Those whose duty it is to release money to FAAN should give them money to develop more aprons to accommodate it, because most times you have collisions in trying to extricate these planes from each other in the morning. Navigation aids. Most of the historical stock of NAMA's ground-based inventory of aids, which drove the airspace management system, is good, they're improving, but it's still inadequate. The world today is moving away from such systems to the use of satellite-based systems. Thank God, NAMA has keyed into SBAS, and that will change a lot of things. Again, concession of airports. In the concession of the airport system as currently being contemplated, there should be more clarity as to the scope and structure of the process. However, for the sake of operational efficiency, the model can be explored, taking due cognizance of the existing concession agreements operated by various concessionaires at the major airports to avoid future disputes. All we need is more clarity, and these things will, gel. Maintenance, repair, and overhaul. This is long overdue. For a country as huge as Nigeria, with a population, a mobile population, and a robust aviation industry, this is long overdue. Airlines in Nigeria are bleeding daily because of lack of adequate MRO, availability of MRO. A situation where we take our planes to as far as South America, North America, Europe, and others. Even South Africa, for our C-check maintenance, is not something to be, to celebrate, because this is capital flight also. That's why I always say that if the any foreign airline, the legacy airlines of this world, like the Delta, British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, Air France, and Lufthansa, all of them, bring any of them to operate in this country as a local carrier, and put them to go through the same thing the Nigerian airlines go through. They will not last 72 hours. So we need MRO. I think government should focus on this. When I looked at what we spent last year on maintenance alone, only APs, over 60 billion. That is money that could have been kept in this country and generate more jobs. So this is very important, more than anything else. Local production of Jet A1 fuel. Fuel generally constitutes about approximately 40% in every climb in the world. But I disagree. In Nigeria, it constitutes about almost 90% of our cost. What you buy fuel in the morning in Nigeria may not be what you buy in the afternoon and in the evening. Your at the mercy of those who sell this fuel. I don't blame them because of Forex. I don't know how they procure their Forex. These are the reasons they give. So you cannot adequately, as an airline, plan in this country about how to do your business. The airlines are really struggling because of these challenges. The fuel cost is about 90%. Yes, about 90%. Equipment leasing and financing. Aircraft can be financed in a variety of ways, including the following: by getting direct loan facility from commercial banks, leasing aircraft through operating lease or finance lease, or via capital markets. I don't want to bore you with which one is. I know we have people who are not aviators here. Which one is wet lease, or because the constraint of time, and which one is dry lease. But suffice that to say that in this business, nowhere in the world do airlines finance on their own their equipment. Nowhere. I'm not talking about airlines alone. Even the ground handling service companies, they need financing too. Even the fuel vendors, they also equally need financing and equipment leasing. But in Nigeria, you must have every money you must have amassed over the years to buy an aircraft, to buy your tooling, to set up your own infrastructure to run the airline. Nobody, not even Emirates Airline, they also need financing. They're dry lease planes. Nigerian airlines cannot access dry lease. We've been stigmatized by the world. They tell you they don't trust that they will get their plane at the end of the day. It's all lies. You need to go into the contracts these lessors sign with Nigerian airlines. Sometimes a Nigerian airline is forced and pushed to go to court to stop them from taking their aircraft. We are very quick to invoke the Cape Town Convention against the Nigerian airline, but we are not quick to look into what the lessor must have done to the Nigerian airline that pushed the Nigerian airline into going to court or seeking redress in a Nigerian court to stop them from taking their aircraft. These people, they do a lot. They are very condescending in the way they deal with Nigerians. Very condescending. They do a whole lot of things. I remember leasing an aircraft. The first time I leased aircraft from a European carrier, they're still having our money. If we had done that to them, the whole world would have had it. And unfortunately, Nigerians, we stigmatize ourselves. When we don't love ourselves, how do you expect anybody to love you? We stigmatize ourselves. We only see the wrongs in us. We don't see the potentials and the good. In fact, we are lovely people in this country. We are compassionate people in this country. What the outside world, they mete out to Nigeria is unacceptable. So it happens in leasing. Nigerian airlines are not able to lease because we've been stigmatized. Where they even afford you the leasing, even wet lease, the conditions are like this, making it impossible for airlines in Nigeria to succeed with ease. So it's not all just, these airlines are this, are that, are that. The foreign airlines, they borrow money at 2%, single digit. In Nigeria, we borrow with 26%. And when we tell the outside world that we pay 26% interest, they scream. They find it unbelievable, but that is the truth. 26% I've paid. They can ask my bank. 26%. So how do you survive under that kind of regime? So equipment leasing is very important. If government can set up the infrastructure or the structure to set up an equipment leasing company, that is very, very welcome. But to be run maybe by the banks, not to be run by, and your ticket receipts are in Naira and everything about aviation is in dollar. So at the end of the day, the volatility in the Forex regime does not allow you to plan adequately. We need to pity not just the airlines, but everybody in this industry. The one that is even very, very, very disturbing is insurance challenges. Like I said, Nigeria has been stigmatized. They'll tell you Nigeria is unsafe. It's all lies. They do this deliberately in order to make our premium go high. The premium a Nigerian airline pays to insure one Boeing 737, the legacy airlines in the first world, they'll use the same premium to insure 3 aircraft. So how do you compete in such an unfair world? How do you compete? And this is deliberate. They tell you it's unsafe. Meanwhile, they're here working. Then limited operational hours. Some of the airports, or most of the airports are sunset airports. The equipment you buy with so much money at 26% is supposed to be flying at least 18 hours a day. But you find yourself flying within 7 hours. You close shop in most of the airports. And this is why we feel that Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria should be given free hand to manage their own finances and not treat them like this, the normal civil service, whatever. I call on government to allow them to run their own game. Even the salaries of workers there should not be under, same for NCA, should not be under the civil service regime. If not so, they won't be able to compete with the airlines. At the end of the day, they get chaps. I don't talk about money for now, I don't declare for me. I don't but in a serious note, this issue of a single treasury account or whatever is a good idea. But in aviation is capital intensive. I know the struggles. I've sat down with the MD. You see a man with a vision on what to do, but he cannot do it with water. He needs to be given money to do that. So a situation, even the money we are paying, they cannot access. They need permission to use it to do X, Y, Z. I believe that anybody who is in this saddle will want to perform, but you have to perform with something. So I call on government to have a look into review the regime of how they dole out money to FAAN and allow them access to whatever they make and give accounts at the end of the day. But they should be allowed that access. Same for their workers, same for NCA. NCA cannot really compete with airlines at all in the recruitment of the right staff. So until and only when these two agencies, their wage structure are allowed to leave that of civil service, until then, we will have peace in the industry. For now, what is now happening is unacceptable. In summary and conclusion, the operating environment in Nigeria and the infrastructure deficit put a huge burden on domestic airlines particularly. Also, Nigerian airlines are stigmatized for issues that are due to no fault of theirs. Accessing finance, therefore, becomes a Herculean task, and forest regime in the country further worsens the problem. If these and other challenges highlighted above are addressed, Nigerian airlines and other participators in the industry would excel. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I have not ruffled any further. Thank you and God bless you.
We'd like to bring additional discussants into this great topic for discussion. Please, I'd like to humbly invite the MD FAAN, Captain Rabiu Yadudu. Please, can we celebrate him as a constituent? And we also like to bring in Mr. Chike Oge to be part of this discussion. Please, can we put our hands together for him also?
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think you should give me the privilege of saying a big thank you to the MD of FAAN, our chief host, Captain Rabiu Yadudu, for your consistency and the vision in the industry. We salute your courage, and we thank you for putting together such a program like this. Here we have the regulators, we have the airport managers, we have the captain of industry, and other stakeholders in aviation, because progress is very key to us. Our guest speaker has given the keynote in terms of Barrister Allen Onyema, has done justice to our topic, which is on aviation facilities, equipment leasing, and financing. This Ihia Labon chief, he has awards all over the world. And when we talk about patriotism, he singles himself out. And that is why each time Nigeria calls, he responds. Can we please give him a round of applause for that? Thank you very much for what we have just delivered. Next to him, we have engineer Isaac Balami. He's the MD of 7-Star Hangar, also a strong stakeholder in this industry. He deserves another round of applause too. Mr. Chike Ogea is here, MD of McFarley Hospitality. Please, can we please give him a round of applause? My name is Ajibola Olainka, MD of Emirac Integrated Concepts Limited. So we'd like to welcome our panelists. We will disaggregate and granulate the presentation of our keynote speaker, and that is very, very important for us. Let me start with our MD, our chief host, because there are quite a lot of issues we need to look at when it comes to equipment leasing, financing, facilities maintenance, sustaining a global practices so that we can be considered a serious player in this industry. Sir, let me put it this way. Where is Nigeria relative to aviation equipment leasing and financing in other parts of the world? Recently, we read that Air India ordered over 500 jumbo jets. Over 500 jumbo jets. Is that the kind of aspiration we should look forward to in Nigeria? Are we actually moving forward? Where are we? I'd like the MD to respond to that. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, Mr. Moderator. I think it's a very important question, and part of the reason why we're here is to resolve that particular challenge. You see, all the countries that have this very seemingly difficult achievement that it seems to us very difficult, it's very easy. If you want to participate, come to the center. Make yourself transparent, accountable, and you can participate with the rest of the world. All these other countries that you see, they get these very good advantages. Open, easy to achieve loans and credits is because if you clean up your act, people will want to come and work with you. If your processes are dark and obscure, naturally nobody will be coming from outside your region or country to come and let you join people that already have a clean and clear and transparent act. It's part of the reason why we said, okay, for the Nigerian aviation industry to survive, let's bring it to the world. We brought FAAN to the world. Before, we used to be hidden. Even the airlines complain, it's not easy to communicate with us. It's not easy to get our cooperation, but it's because there's no proper communication. So we decided, let's open up our own side of the bargain, our own side of service delivery. Let others do the same, and we can see there should be no reason for any mistrust. And once you take away the mistrust and you communicate openly and evenly, next thing is you will start taking each other's advice and inputs. And from the airport perspective, they said so many things. Give us SLAs, give us better facilities, communicate well and respond to our, and we started doing all these things. This particular platform is part of our response. But we said, let's go beyond FAAN. Let's call everybody, somebody must pay. Well, since people think we are the biggest, let's pay. Because right now we are not the biggest. We are really hard hit in terms of finances. But then you say when you're big, Baba Juji, so we say let's come and do it. Our target is we'll achieve something, but the biggest achievement will be in the future, the fruits. So we are trying to be transparent and accountable and adopting current trends, best practices in terms of the airport operation. Let all other stakeholders try and imbibe the world and do the same. For the airlines in particular, because once the airports and airlines and the regulators set the pace, every other person must follow. Let's have this kind of transparency and accountability. Let's have a lot of the implementation of the standard recommended practices as they obtain outside Nigeria, especially this type of interagency ticketing. Let's have that kind of relationship with other airlines. Let's have safety certification like some airlines have. Let's have transparent accounting systems. Let's have, once you start getting this, the opportunities for funding will become bigger and better and higher. You will inspire stakeholder confidence and passenger confidence. And if all the others we keep on doing and progressing, at the end we'll all converge at the same point. So right now we have these issues, but what I'm saying is all within our hands. Let's do a lot of automation. Let's be much more transparent. Let's adopt worldwide practices. Then the agencies that outside Nigeria will communicate and work with us. The airlines outside Nigeria will come and work with us. The funding companies outside Nigeria will come and work with us. But if you don't play it the way it's being played across the world, there's no way the world will come and play with you on your own terms. This is my position. So we don't even need to be lobbying too much. They will come because we have the potential. Tiny countries, look at Rwanda. We keep saying we're big. Rwanda is tiny, but they are doing so many big things that the big ones are not doing. So it's not population gives us advantage, potential only. Achievement is when you work to take advantage of your potential. And we achieve. They are achieving, which means they can do it. We can do it 100 times better. But the Rwandans are adopting standardization, regulations, opening accountability, everything. You don't need to market much to come to Nigeria and do business. I think this is my position. We just need to fix our act, embrace the world technology and the standard recommended practices. We will be there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MD. Thank you very much, MD. What I heard the MD telling the audience this morning is, number one, we need to take ownership. The entire stakeholders in the industry need to come together. We need to recognize the challenges without giving excuses, which I believe is the concluding part of Barrister Onyema's presentation. And thereafter, it becomes easier for us to begin to solve the problem because the rest of the world is waiting for us to come together. Thereafter, the solutions will begin to come. Thank you very much, sir. Let me invite Barrister Showale to please speak with us. What are the clear legal boundaries for the various equipment leases in aviation, especially for aircraft? We listened to the MD of Airpeace. He listed quite a lot of challenges. So what are your advice for the operators in the industry? Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Let me take this real quick. I think basically the laws we have in Nigeria and the international laws, Cape Town Convention and all that, they're all adequate. The question is to what extent are we taking ownership of them in terms of ensuring that the finance agreements, the lease agreements signed by the airlines take cognizance of the peculiarities of the environment in Nigeria. I think when we start to look at that, and then you can tweak those agreements to suit your particular circumstance, then we'll be okay. Because it's easy now to bring in an aircraft, to take an aircraft out. Of course, let me say I agree with everything Alan has said. I totally agree with him. But I think here what we need solutions to the problem. I think the solution we can look at is for both the banks, CBN, and they're probably even using the BASA fund to create an aircraft finance fund, which instead of now paying 26 or 27% to lease aircraft or equipment, there's a fund that they can go in and it will be at a good rate for the airlines. Because we can't keep complaining, like Alan said, complain about the airlines every day, and we're not doing anything to support them. So if we create a fund like that, it will make it a lot easier for the airlines to lease or to acquire the asset and the equipment, and it will be a good day for everybody. But let me go to a few other things. Question is, do we really need more aircraft in Nigeria when the airports are over-congested? I don't think we need more aircraft. Until FAAN gets its act together, whether they're going to, like in Lagos, for example, you convert the graveyard to further space for aircraft to park, or something. There are things that can be done to sort all those out. So until we do that, then we can say, okay, well, we need more aircraft. Because as it is, I think at the parking terminal, it's probably an accident waiting to happen. Someday there's going to be some incursion there because there are too many aircraft and there's no space for them to park. Now let me go to a couple of other areas. On consumer protection, if the MD can take this answer maybe a little later, the question is, how many complaints does he receive on a monthly basis from passengers who are not happy with the services they are getting at the airports? I know that the Lagos, the GAT, for example, it takes an average of 40 to 50 minutes if you deplane an aircraft to get, and you are the baggage carousel to get your bags. It is ridiculous. Half the time, only one baggage carousel is working. We can't say we want to improve and we blame the airlines, and even the regulatory authorities are not doing their job. They need to do something, apart from all the ones that Alan mentioned. And then the international terminal. Half the time you come, you deplane and you go before the immigration, there's a terrible smell in the terminal. I think it's for that the baggage hold in the terminal. Maybe the MD or the top echelons, they don't go through that part of the terminal. What they need to do is probably remove that the baggage hold there, because I think it's rats. You could smell that it's the wee of rats, and it's an awful smell. So, Mr. MD, I think you need to look into this and clean that area up so that we can have a good experience when you fly in and out of Nigeria. I think I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. New challenge is being thrown into the basket for FAAN to look at and for the key operators in the industry. And I'm sure we are going to have some reaction from the members of the audience. But we still need to invite our panelists to speak on some other topical issues. I'd like to invite Engineer Balami, the MD of 7-Star Hangar. He doesn't need any introduction when it comes to equipment management in aviation sector. Please share with us what has been your experience so far on equipment leasing and financing in aviation.
Thank you very much, MD. Thank you. The chairman of Airpeace, we appreciate you for such a wonderful presentation. And I also want to thank you for what you did for Nigerians in Sudan. God bless your effort. It's good to always appreciate ourselves. To be honest with you, today Nigeria, mine will be a bit complex, and I'll tell you why. Because I think this is the only country where, if you're not privileged to be from a rich family, or privileged to have been in government or have done business in a different sector to make money there, you can't just have a vision or see a need or a gap and you say you just want to close it. The banks will never give you a loan except you have a godfather. Even if the banks give you a loan, even when you raise a collateral, sometimes they will say, where is your 6-month or 3 years account statement? Aside your collateral, how can you pay back? The Nigerian bank will not take risk. They will never look at the potential, the prospect in what you're actually presenting. So I'll tell you how I've managed all through with my team to get to where we are today at 7-star, how we managed to build the biggest aircraft maintenance, repair, and overhaul capability across the entire West and Central Africa is just purely, I would say, the grace of God and hard work from my team and support from people like the, let me say, institution like the Nigerian Air Force. And I'm happy that the Air Force is well represented here. Today, we can do up to C check, D check on over 20 different kind of aircraft. And it's purely with the support of the Air Force, because we are still trying to build our own hangar, but the Air Force gave us access. Uncle Roland Iayi is here. He was there with us. He will also attest to the fact of how Air Force actually helped. Thank God now FAAN has come in now. We have our own land now, and we're actually trying to build a hangar so that we can be more independent. But in all honesty, it has been a very, very rough one. It has been a very, very rough one. But now that we're there, the aviation industry is straightforward. Today, we don't even need loan per se from any bank anymore. Why? Because we have the authorization, we have the facility, we have the equipment, we have the tooling, we have the personnel. All we just need is the patronage. And I'll say it here clearly, if the #1 citizen in Nigeria, if not Africa, that is the Presidential Air Fleet, can trust us with the aircraft of the President to carry out a heavy maintenance up to carrying out a thermocouple installation on the core of the aircraft engine that the C-in-C flies. And the Nigerian Air Force will trust 7-star enough with the safety of C-in-C that the aircraft today is what is using. I think that is commendable, and that is how to build local content in a country. That is actually commendable. Today, the only aircraft that Dana Airline is flying today, the second one is just coming in now, the C-Check 3C was done by 7-star. The first flight, aside the C of A flight, was a commercial flight. The aircraft landed with 0 snack. No MRO in this region has done a 20 years inspection on a Challenger 604 jet. When the operator came to us, he was scared. But can Nigeria do this thing? I want to take you to America. I said, why America? We can do this thing. He was hoping that that job would be done in 2 months, as a foreign MRO gave him a quote. We charged him half of that amount, and we did that job in 3 weeks. And that job was done by 100% Nigerian trained aircraft engineers. We have trained over 68 engineers across different aircraft types in US, Canada, UK, and so on and so forth, including myself. And these people are hardworking. You see, the issue is, like the chairman of Airpeace did say, until we look inward and believe in ourselves, nobody will come and help us. I've said it over and over. Even when we're talking about national carrier, we're talking about national MRO, you don't expect foreigners to come here and build your country for you. It will never happen. If you see Ethiopia coming here, if you see any airline, whether from Singapore or anywhere coming here, they are coming to get what they can get. It is only airlines like Airpeace, Max Air, Dana, Aerocont that will build this country. And I feel they need all the support they can get. At 7-star today, airlines come to us, oh, Balami, we don't even have dollars. We say, okay, if you pay us CBN rate, we can't pay our expatriate, we can't pay our locals, we can't even pay our overhead costs, but let us meet at the balancing point. There are airlines that today will do their maintenance, they will pay us daily. As they fly, we get alert every day. And it's easy for them. And today, that is the way to go. And I'm happy with what Airpeace is doing. I would say in principle, the chairman has given us almost 6 aircraft to carry out C-check. We're currently at the last phase. Auditing is being gone, is actually going on. I think we're at the last phase of, by this week or next week, we will induct Airpeace aircraft, and it will be done by Nigerians. He said about $80-something million Airpeace alone spent to fix aircraft overseas. Over $1 billion is being spent to fix aircraft in this country alone. If you cut across Air Force, airlines, police, and so on and so forth, including the Navy. Aside America, China, the 3rd country in the world with the highest number of private jets is Nigeria. And yet, all those aircraft are being taken overseas every day. So we are trying our best. It's not easy, By the time we start getting the patronage, if $80 million from Airpeace will come to 7-star, I bet you in the next 2 years we'll have a hangar that can take at least 10 aircraft at the same time undergoing C-check. And that is the way we can create more jobs and stop the capital flight and also make revenue for this country. And of course, these people are also going to pay tax and they also feed families. So let me just stop here for now.
Engineer Balami, the spontaneous applause from the floor truly confirms you are a star. Can we give him another round of applause? You are just a confirmation of what the MD of FAAN said. That it's just a matter of time. Let's begin to talk to ourselves. With a platform like this, I'm sure the changes will begin to roll in, and the entire world will take attention of where we're going. Thank you very much for such a wonderful contribution. Thank you. Mr. Chike Ogea, you are a public face, and you are well known, not just in aviation, but publicly. And so I have something very intimidating for you to speak about. And of course, you can add other issues from your own end. Today, CBN's monetary policy rate is currently 18%. I'm trying to granulate what Barrister Onyema has presented here. The MPR is 18%. Inflation is officially about 22%. Aviation fuel has been very mild, has tripled year on year. And maintenance of aircraft in particular, just like we are told, are being done in US dollars, while we make our money in Naira. And of course, we know the exchange rate is almost spiraling out of control right now. Of course, there are mandatory and statutory charges and fees which have to be paid to the airport managers, to the regulators. Just of recent, we had agitation from the labor union, and that is telling us there is a plethora, is a long list. So, question is this: what is the sustainability formula for airline operators in Nigeria? Because the theme of this conference is sustainability.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. The truth is that these are very exciting times in aviation in Nigeria, and it is a sector I'm very passionate about. Maybe because I came in earlier than now, so I'm not enjoying most of the exciting things happening now. I've actually moved sideways to the hospitality management. As you know, we own the Lagos Marriott Hotel. Of course, you know there's a major nexus between hospitality and aviation, tourism, and all of that. But the truth is that, funny enough, the name of this summit is about the sustainability of the sector. And with the statistics you have just reeled out now, Mr. Moderator, that those statistics talk to the unsustainability of the sector. Because how do you want to sustain a sector where you get your leasing and all of that in double-digit interest rates, and like the MD of Airpeace has told us earlier on, all over the world, it's even single interest rate. And then everything else we do here, none of those indices are constant. We hear the prices of fuel are volatile. We know what happens every day with all the other indices that go into operating a safe environment in our airports. Because like they always say in aviation, there are just three things that really matter: safety, safety, safety. Anything else you're doing, if safety is compromised, then you're in trouble. And with the kind of indices we have in the environment of how we operate aviation in Nigeria, it is just by God's grace and with the grit and the kind of people, the kind of professionals. You heard what Engineer Balami just said they are doing with their own sector in the MRO. That is what has been seeing us through. Like I said, I was in the airport. I worked in the airport for about 8-10 years when I was the MD of SACO. SACOL, as it then was, Sky Power Aviation Handling Company. It was a very rudimentary kind of setting. We didn't even have, I mean, he talked about the CUTE system. We didn't even then, I think it was iNews or something that we were supposed to have. So I'm running around looking for contracts, and they're giving me the checklist of what I have to be able to get this contract. And I don't have those equipments. How then can I be able to, you know, but it was the grace of God. I remember that was why, you know, the story of Arik is very painful to me, because that was when Arik came into the environment. Arik, maybe 8 out of every takeoff in our local domestic environment was an Arik flight. And I managed to get that contract. And that's how we started retooling SACOL. And we were able to, you know, we got pushbacks. We got all this kind of equipment we didn't even have. And we were able to get the company to a stage where we could even prepare it for privatization. And with the grace of God, we did probably the best and the most transparent privatization ever in the country. A company that was valued at about 1.2 billion at that time, we sold it for 5.6 billion. That was the kind of value we created for government. And we did all this working against all the odds, just as it's being done now, just as Captain Yadudu is trying to do with FAAN. And that's why I said to myself, these are exciting times. So even though these challenges are there, Mr. Moderator, what I can say is that if we continue in the trajectory we are going, we would overcome them. We would show that Nigerian spirit. People like Engineer Balami will do what they are doing. People like Barrister Pekun Showale, my brother, they will give us the right legal regulatory environment. We have Airpeace, which is now the dominant player in our local aviation environment. They are even going international. They are going to all the routes. Arik is becoming Nigerian gift. Airpeace is becoming the Nigerian gift to the world. I wish what happened to Arik didn't happen, and Arik and Airpeace were doing this. You can imagine where we'll have been now at this time. But I will say that we should continue with what we're doing. It might look quite challenging now, but with time, I know with the kind of players coming into the sector and with the development in the sector itself, the way technology is working in the sector, everything will start coming into place. We just need to get a few things right. Like maybe with the coming, in a couple of days, Dangote is going to launch his refinery. And I know that one of the first things they will start churning out will be aviation fuel. So if we start getting aviation fuel locally and we can control that price, we heard that is almost 80% of the cost of airlines these days, then we might begin to start seeing a semblance of normalcy returning to this environment. And I dare say, in conclusion, that the aviation industry will be one of the greatest sources of catalyst of growth in Nigeria's economy if we get it right. And I think we're on the right trajectory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Worthy contributions. We don't have more time because actually we started late. But nevertheless, we are not going to leave our audience behind. I believe we will have reaction from the floor, though we are going to take just a few number of questions for our keynote speaker and our panelists. So probably we take 2 questions from this side, then 2 from the other side. So can someone please assist me? I can't see any hands up. Yes, I can see. Yes, sir. Can we have a question from the VIPC? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Abdulaziz. I'm from airline operators. Coupled with what my chairman just said, the Airpeace chairman, I have a couple of suggestions here. In the next conference, I think the financial institutions should also be invited. We, as a new airline coming up, we're also facing the same challenges. We are looking for aircraft everywhere in the whole world, in Europe, in America, we turn to. They turn us down. Even before we mention our financial capacity, they will tell us, how do we want to pay? We know your country is having a problem. Even the foreign airlines are not being able to access their money. In a nutshell, we're able to secure our loan through a bank in America in a very single digit. And that's why we are getting our equipment from. My own suggestion here is that the barrister just mentioned a BASA fund. That BASA fund should be utilized to create an MRO facilities where we can have international maintenance organization that can partner with Nigerians to do those jobs for now in Nigeria. At present, we have a partner with a foreign airline that are partnering with us to get into this operation. My second suggestion, sir, is about the FAAN. I've been in airline operations since 1985. And this is the first time we're seeing a different FAAN from all the operators of FAAN we know from the past years. And I hope this will continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulaziz. Can we put all the questions in a basket because of time? Yes, please.
Good morning. Mine is just to advise what all the panelists have said is very, very right, and you have said it in a very professional way in order to sustain the industry. But as the MD FAAN said, we have to repair ourselves, change our values, so that we develop the country in order to have what you are all seeking for. And you know is the environment, and you know the problems. And the problems is our values. But I've said it yesterday, I think. If the government, all the monies that are taken to Europe, to Saudi Arabia, Nigerian money, if we can plead as aviators, we know them, to please give us 10% of that money into the aviation industry, instead of taking this money outside to develop the European countries, the American countries, and then we, the Africans, are suffering. With hope. Our own committee that will see the government through the legislators. And there, part of the money can be given to us, the aviators, so that we can develop the economy and the GDP of Nigeria. And one other suggestion, I was part of those that started the leasing company of Nigeria because my sister happened to be the first managing director, Mrs. Abashia. And I bought most of the books from America under the Bank of Industry now, I guess. I'm appealing to you guys who are in the industry to talk to the minister so that they can appeal to the government through the bank, African Bank. I think we have a leasing company, African Leasing Company, isn't it? ADB, has it? The African Leasing Company. Then Nigeria, and they have theirs in dollars. Then the African Leasing Company with the Nigerian Leasing Company can now give you the access to the dollars in one digit. What do you call it now? The one digit?
Interest.
Interest, yeah. So that's my suggestion through the African Leasing Company.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, do we have more questions? Yes, I can see a hand. Okay.
Good morning, all. My question goes to Barrister Onyema. In view of the proposed Jet A1 being produced by Dangote, I want to find out if this will affect the prices of tickets.
Thank you. One more question, please. Who is filling the slots? Okay.
moderator. My name is Nwogu Ernest. I was privileged to be in the National Assembly some 2 years ago when the MD of APs was making case for the aviation sector. And I discovered that the legislators themselves see it as a private business and would not give in the issue of the 25%, 40%, and all that. And having listened to many of the discussions that has taken place in these few days, the actors in the industry are saying that it is a special industry that should be helped by legislation and government cooperation. Then, if we come to this, how can the results of this conference be translated into having an interface with the legislature, the executive, and all the other arms of government that are stakeholders? Because what I saw here either a day or two ago is the boxing of each other. The labor will box the airline operators and the agency and so on. In fact, the labor was being told to go and protest to the legislators, which I don't think is the right thing to do. Rather, it should be that after this conference, there should be an interface coming together by the operators and the agency and the legislators to chart a way forward so that the industry could be operating in the way similar to what other developed countries are operating. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Because of our time, I think the last question, we will invite respectfully the MD of FAAN, Captain Yadudu, to respond to that very quickly. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I would like crave your indulgence to respond to that, and maybe there was one on the Sunset Airport also mentioned, yes, so that I can respond to that on the issue of the dilapidations.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, on this particular one, I think we have made some progress. It used to be the case, but we worked very closely with the National Assembly, the House, and the Senate, and as at the time we got our act passed last year, it's already in the act that aviation is exempt from the payment of any remittances to the federal government. It's in the act now officially. Now, but prior to that, the passing of the act, from October, I believe, 2021, federal government implemented direct automatic deduction. They don't even wait. If 1 billion enters, they take away 400 million. 40% of revenue, not profit after tax, nothing, just gross revenue, anything, 40%. So even if it's 40% of your profit, it's still critical, but 40% of everything. And that's why we have serious, in fact, very critical challenges. We are having difficulty paying utility bills, even in Lagos. The last 7 days has been very hectic. Most of our facilities without power, our generators are about to crash. This is the truth. And to the credit of the National Assembly, we've been working very closely with them. That's why they understood. We made presentations, gave them facts, and they were eager to work with us, and it was passed. But now it's for us to have the full cooperation and understanding that that automatic deduction be stopped. If it's not stopped, then what is the use of having an act that is not respected? That is the problem we're having now. 40% of whatever you earn, it goes away. And this particular aspect explains our issues with training, with capacity, with facilities, with equipment. It's the same thing. 40% gone, there's not much you can do of your revenue. That's number one. I think this also answers some of the concerns raised by Mr. Showeli, because FAAN knows and understands about these challenges even before the stakeholders complain. We get complaints You see, the unique thing about FAAN is whoever messes up at the airport is FAAN that is blamed. It doesn't have to be FAAN. Handlers, caterers, airlines, us. So we take the cumulative complaints of everyone as ours, but still others get their own. And it's part of our responsibility. So we liaise with the airlines, with the fuelers to resolve all the concerns. But our own is on record. Just about the time we closed Enugu for major repairs, we sent a revised proposal to close that international in Lagos because it's long overdue for complete reconstruction. I heard it was constructed after Skiffle. Skiffle in the intervening time has undergone maybe at least 14 major reconstructions and overhauls. This airport has been the same from the 1979-78. No major, even components, forget the structure, none. It is this particular administration that replaced, at least, I think, almost 95%. All. The only ones you don't see replaced now is because they are under construction. We made the disabled aircraft recovery equipment inoperable. Itself, it is disabled. It's a disabled aircraft recovery equipment, but it is a disabled equipment itself from 1978. Right now, a brand new one was delivered about 4 weeks ago, courtesy of the federal government. We ordered brand new passenger boarding bridges. The first experts I called from Germany, when they came, they packed their bags and said, this thing is beyond repair. They went back. We spent 3 years processing for funds. We got it, and now it's about to be shipped. 14 brand new boarding bridges and modern design. The same with the baggage handling system. We called the minister twice to inspect. And after 3 years of fighting, working, seeking for collaboration, he got us the funding. It was approved at FEC early last year. And right now, we're also awaiting for it to be shipped to Lagos. The air conditioning system central is the only one that is still at the ministry we're processing. Even the fire tenders, the airfield lighting. And I'm not talking about Taxiway Bravo and the airfield lighting that's not working. Those are clearly abandoned projects. I've been flying as a captain since 2008. And I've never flown to Lagos in the night and landed on one net left because it's not operationable in the night. All my years as a captain, I never did that. The only time I did it was when they commissioned it in November. We came on a flight in the evening, and I was a passenger, and I peeped in through the cockpit, and I saw the lights, and we landed. So we did a lot of things that are outstanding, current, and even the abandoned ones. The new ones, we already have most of them on ground. But the big picture is, even if you replace components like I listed, the structure itself needs to be reconstructed. We submitted to the federal government, and I think even the vice president at one time, His Excellency, asked me, what are you doing? I said, we already submitted a proposal. We got Enugu out, it was reconstructed. We are still working and pushing very hard to see if we can get approval and the funding to reconstruct Lagos. So all the complaints, the damaged structures, the dilapidation, actually FAAN can only do what we can call maybe remedial works, palliatives, because we are talking about anything between from 50 to 100 billion. No one has, if you can't pay your power bills, you cannot contemplate thinking of shouldering anything in terms of 50 to 100 billion. So we submitted that as part of our responsibility in 2019. Since then, we've been pushing, and even government has challenges. And that's why a few weeks ago, I went to Lagos. I said we're going to close down the E-wing first, because the new terminal is online. Let's make the D complement the new terminal. That's the connectivity. So let's minimize the inconvenience by closing the E-wing. And that's what the airport is gradually trying to get the stockholders on their side to achieve. By the time we close it, and the minister supported us, we'll see what we can do if we can contain all the traffic. And that's another reason why we wanted to actually get some hangars out of Lagos, out of the way, so that we can have optimum utilization of the new terminal. We have about 9 or 10 boarding bridges, but we can only use 4 now, because the one at the center blocked by the hangar. The ones on the other side, you have to pass. For us to pass, we must do away with those hangars. Why? Because that's how we saw it. In fact, a few weeks ago, I was also called, let's look at what is the distance. I went with a team of almost 40 people, CCEC, our legal team, operations engineers. We needed at least 90 meters to spare those hangars so the aircraft can achieve easy maneuvering to the other side and park on those boarding bridges. We measured 40 of us on the field, different departments, just to see whether we can do anything to spare everyone the inconvenience. And we found that the distance was about 59 or 60, and we needed 90. So are we going to say, play to sentiment and say, look, let the nation, let the airport system suffer, we must allow one hangar? Or let's do the right thing, take care of those hangars, treat them fairly, relocate them, and let's get what we want. So the narrative on the field is we're trying to destroy or remove. It's not removing. It's just about the national interest. If we keep it that way, but the same people will keep on complaining about the inefficiency at the airport. We must get those hangars out because the new terminal, we are only using it 40%. We can't go around to the other side. It's 60 meters, and we need at least 90 for the type of aircraft to maneuver. This also adds to, maybe I hope also clear some of the challenges we're having. If we had the new terminal 100%, I would have said just close this old terminal. But I can only say let's close half because the new terminal itself is 40% capacity we're using. And then the D. So all that you said, all the complaints are very valid. I'm just trying to dispel any concerns that FAAN is not aware or is not concerned or has not been doing anything. We started doing this since 2019, in fact, before I came. And 2019, when I came, I just made a submission within a few weeks for Enugu and them, because any emergency issue, it's either you resolve it or you are culpable. And that's the argument we used to get support. Enugu was threatening to kill people. Even pilots were announcing. And anywhere I go, they say, you cannot close Enugu. I say, oh, guy, if your wall is cracking and you don't have money to fix, do you still stay in the same house? No. So I will evacuate, shut it down, forgo the revenue, and I'll start looking for money. And when I get money in a week, I will fix Enugu. If I get it after 2 years, I'll fix. But I don't have money to fix it, but I'll do the right thing. And we did. And then suddenly government helped us quickly. Within a month, we got the money. If we didn't do that, it would have been the same for many years. So I just want us to please, let's join hands and work together. And I have a suggestion based on what Captain Ibrahim said. Yesterday, the same ideas were broached here. Maybe part of the communique here should be that the industry should set up a stakeholder committee with a comprehensive write-up that will approach the Honorable Minister for the need for an audience with Mr. President himself to go and directly, all stakeholder groups, if it's 3 or 4 or 30 or 4, an industry request, appeal, that we need aviation to be saved, and SOS. And the primary issue should be this remittance. Number 2, availability of Forex. Number 3 should be a remittance of all the revenue earned by the foreign airlines. That's another addition. And I think I even wrote something here, also ease of doing business to be respected. I just mentioned 5 here now. But if we can get these 5, Forex, remittance of foreign airlines, ease of doing business, no deductions, I guarantee you we can solve all our problems very easily. Because we have the material, we have the pedigree, we have the experiences, but all these things need funding. There's no magic with money. So I suggest, or rather I propose, at the end, let's have it as part of the communique, this particular request that we must form an industry committee that will probably coordinate a write-up, comprehensive, with the key issues. Let's not put too many things. Let's put things that are critical, that will draw the government's attention, and when we go, all of us, agencies will be represented, airlines, handlers, fuelers, because if it's not directly involving you, it's involving people that involve you. You rely on them. We are a system. So if this is the only thing we achieve in this conference, let's agree on this communique. It will make a big difference. And also on the issue of capacity in Lagos, we don't have much capacity. The industry has outgrown the existing capacity. Even though, to some extent, FAAN contributed to this, but it is only out of our concern that we do not want to stifle the industry. Technically, we have no reason to allow any airport to be congested. You cannot just come and say you have aircraft, you are coming. Worldwide, before you bring aircraft, the airport authority must approve for you. agree that you are going to be based in Kano or Abuja. Nothing says you apply, you must get it. Agree you can operate from this hour to this hour. It is statutory right of the authority, because we are responsible for the operations and the safety and security. If we feel during the time you are coming there will be problem, we can easily say you can't come this time. It is within the rights of the airport authority. So the congestion you see sometimes because FAAN is also trying to understand, but we have to now start balancing that understanding. Because if it gets too much, accidents do happen. But we need the industry to understand it is our own understanding and support that actually we allowed so many people to be coming. We can easily plug it or maybe ration the number of aircraft for each one. It's still possible. Once we quote that privilege or right we have and the safety concern, is possible. Because the position is until we get the facilities improved. And when are they coming? So congested aprons, true, but it is actually a product of our own further support and understanding. But we already set a committee to look at what we can do. We already have expansions going across almost all the airports that are big, major apron expansions. And in Lagos, even the GAT, part of our plan is to expand the GAT, and we developed the plan, and I think right now, the contractor yesterday called me that maybe we can commission next week, the GAT. Because it was very tight. 3 years ago, people were lining up like sardines. And part of our plan is also to construct a new terminal, domestic terminal, along that Ilezik Road. Very, very big. Because the current GAT, if you even look at it, it doesn't look like a terminal. It's like somebody's house. The design, the appearance, and the interior, it has too many rooms and offices than open places for passengers. So we all know the issues, but these are things that are legacy issues. We came and we met it. We cannot close it without an alternative. So with this, we propose, and we're going very far working with investors and the government to build a standard terminal that will complement the JT. If possible, if it's too big, we can even close the JT. That is progress. And in conclusion, I want to talk on the Sunset Airports. FAAN wants to have airports to operate 24/7 because it's simple. It means money, revenue to all our stakeholders. And when they get that extra revenue, FAAN gets something out of it. That's what we're here for, business. The reason why most of the airports we cannot afford to have the 24/7 operation is, number one, ourselves right now, we don't have the enabling financial situation to say we can shoulder most of the losses, because there will be losses. The only way we can avoid losses in an airport system that operates 24/7, but has maybe one flight throughout the night, it's not going to be good. Somebody must pay the bill. We went with AON to a meeting at the office of the Chief of Staff at the Villa and made it clear, a business is a business. Right now, FAAN is a business. So for us to keep one airport open from sunset to sunrise is what we really want to do. But let's see the business that will make it viable. Because it can easily cost us anything between 1 to 10 million. And if we have only one flight and they pay us 50,000 naira because of the extension, to the airline or the VIP passenger, he thinks he has paid money. But for us, the generator, the lighting, the wear and tear, the personnel, there are so many components that we have to pay for one flight. It's not going to be feasible. That's why we have only Kano, Abuja, and Lagos, but we're really itching to have all the others 24/7. We just need the stakeholder to come forward and give us a plan. Where he needs our understanding, we'll give it to him, but we just want to make sure that our exposure is not that great. 12-hour extension because of one flight. And right now, we have some airports operating sunrise to sunset, but the total traffic per day is maybe 2 flights. But those ones we are just keeping quiet and allowing them. And that is, they are adding to our stress, to our financial distress. Even some daylight operation airports in Nigeria right now, we are just bearing the shock. Then what about adding to, say you want to have 24/7? We want it, but let's make it based on industry, communication, interaction, discuss with us, we will balance it. And an example I gave is 2 years ago, I think it was Ariko or somebody called me that they want to start going to Yola. Please, let's extend until even they don't even want. I told them this story. that we want, but what are the guarantees? They say, okay, just extend until midnight. I see we will do it. In fact, for you, just to show the example that we are willing to help you. We will not even ask you for extra money. It's just one flight you want, so we'll extend until 12. But give us paper and writing that when you start, you will not stop that flight for at least 3 months. Because my problem is we'll have to mobilize personnel, get this, get that, equipment done. For an airline, they can just walk up today and say, no passengers, cancel. But for us, we've committed.
Some cost.
We have to cover our backs. Everybody covers his back. So we say, in fact, don't even give me extra money. I need a letter committing yourself that you will not stop this operation within 3 months, at least 3 months. Then we'll mobilize everybody. We have a lot of inertia as an airport company. The airlines have an advantage. They can easily plan a flight and dispatch you within 24 hours. For us, we need a lot of time. So I hope this clearly explains that we are very much willing. We are here for that. But for anything that seems out of the ordinary, there must be a reason that maybe FAAN is having. And we are willing and able, once you come, we'll explain, and we are ready to move forward with all stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MD. I think he deserves a very warm applause. He has gone to extensive length to delve on issues, even some that were not mentioned. He came up with them. Thank you very much, sir. Because of our time, Chairman Airpeace, there was a question with regard to the Jet A1 coming from Dangote, which you will need to respond to. I also have a question here. Someone says, why do passengers pay certain amount if they miss their flight? But airlines does not pay passengers any amount when they delay their flight. So you take it along by responding in the next 1 minute, sir. Thank you so much.
Well, aviation is universal. It's just one aviation worldwide. There are conventions that guide aviation, especially scheduled operations. And I'm very happy with this kind of question because that will elicit some kind of education of the flying public in Nigeria about how aviation works. It's not about Nigeria alone, it's all about the world. If you miss your flight yourself, because it's a scheduled operation, that is it's supposed that, it's assumed that the airline has lost that seat. Especially when you do it, if you didn't reschedule your time with the airline will not sell that seat, and any seat lost is lost. So the airline will now charge you penalty for missing your flight because it's flying at a loss. As at the time it's flying, no one is taking up your seat because your seat has been reserved for you. Now, when the airline delays you, you say, why shouldn't the airline pay you? Or maybe when the airline cancels the flight. It depends on the reasons for the cancellation. 90% of the time is down to safety. And there are things that you are not allowed to do in aviation. Safety is safety and is safety. The other day, last week Sunday, I was flying to Lagos. I left Abuja at about 3 p.m. I didn't land in Lagos until almost to 5. When we got to Lagos, in fact, inside the aircraft was pitch dark. It was raining, it was stormy, lightning and everything. The aircraft had to do so many go-rounds before we could land. Over 1.5 hours of delay posted. Remember, there were other passengers waiting for that aircraft to land for them to take those passengers to other destinations. They'll be crying at the airport, oh, delay, these airlines are delaying all this and that. It's about safety. The plane couldn't land in such a stormy weather. Then you'll be inviting chaos and problems to yourself. When we eventually landed, I took it upon myself to go to the departure hall, and I saw people going to some parts of the country complaining that their flight I've been delayed for about an hour. I said, that was the aircraft I just came on. We've been hovering all over Lagos, or maybe a lorry, waiting for the Lagos weather to clear. You could see that no aircraft has landed in this airport for the last 1 hour because of weather. And when it happens, the ripple effect will touch every other schedule on that. So I tried to explain to them. They couldn't understand it. In fact, some passengers took it out of the man for even blaming us for something that was obviously a safety issue. And that brings me to the question of what we do in this country at times. Yes, the airlines have their issues. We as airlines, we are sorry that we delayed you. We are sorry that we canceled your flights. We are sorry. But at the same time, you have to understand aviation. The truth is, and let it be said, that the kind of things Nigerian passengers do in Nigerian airports, they don't do 1% of it, not even in Cotonou. And that is the truth. I have stayed in South Carolina, flying from Miami to Atlanta, which is just 1 hour, 20 minutes flight. Trying to land in Atlanta, the pilots announced that there was a storm raging over Atlanta. Therefore, the flight had to be diverted to Charleston in South Carolina. So the flight was diverted. We landed there at 10:30 in the morning. As those who were flying us would be expiring. Those pilots were supposed to land only in Atlanta, and that would be end for them for the day. So now landing in Charleston, they are not legally, by regulation, allowed to take off again. So they told us that we needed to wait for another set of pilots to be sent to come and take us. My brothers and sisters, I didn't leave Charleston until 11 in the night. However, 20 minutes after we landed, the storm was over. And the airport, they started announcing Delta flights to the same Atlanta. They were not our own. They were announcing all through the time. Because that is scheduled, it's called scheduled operations. We don't understand it in this country. And unfortunately, those who regulate us and those who work at the airport do not understand this. So sometimes they take side, you see people talking. Nobody said a word. While we are there, they were, if you want water, they'll give you water. Everybody went on his laptop. Nobody said a word. Nobody shouted. Nobody said, oh, it's our turn. We've been here since. Why is the same Delta airline going to Atlanta not carrying us? The truth is that in aviation, if you have Lagos Abuja 7 o'clock, maybe an airline, say Airpeace, has Lagos 7 o'clock, the same Airpeace has Lagos 8 o'clock, Lagos Abuja 7 o'clock, Lagos Abuja 8 o'clock, Lagos Abuja 9 o'clock. If the one for 7 o'clock is disrupted for whatever reason, it does not affect 8 and 9 o'clock. That's how aviation is run. Because they are scheduled. That aircraft going on 8 has about 8 other places to go. So in Nigeria, when 7 is disrupted, maybe you taxi to go and take off, and the pilot notices something and decides to come back because of safety. You're not supposed to disrupt the 8 o'clock flight. They need to fix that aircraft or wait for a spare aircraft to come and take them. That does not affect schedule. But in Nigeria, when it happens, as they're coming down from that plane, they say nobody should board until they board. And when they do that, remember, the one that has a technical snag is being disrupted, maybe about 8 flights. The one they are going to force themselves into is about 8 flights. You are disrupting 16 flights in a day. And they blame the airlines. If only we can understand how aviation works in this country, the airlines will serve us better. But the situation where the airlines are themselves now scared because the security agencies at the airport may not even come to their aid. In some cases, the security agencies are even overwhelmed by the passengers. It's only in Nigeria that passengers will say, it is our turn to board, and they'll march to the apron to stop a moving plane. One of these days, the engine will suck somebody if nothing is done. And that is unsafe. I've never seen such a thing happen. It's only in Nigeria that the labor union will come to the airport and be shouting and be disrupting and breaking computers, disturbing people for something you do not know about. It happened a few weeks ago. NLC marched to the airport. They were quarreling with the Imo State governor, and they came to the airport, at 3 airports, Lagos, Abuja, and Owerri, to disrupt AP's operations, making a fledgling airline to lose millions in a day, making a fledgling airline to lose their schedule massively, cancelled flights, lawlessness, cancelled flights. And when you cancel flights in a day massively, it goes on for the next 3 days. And people will be, oh, they are delaying us. They cancelled my flight. Meanwhile, look at NLC. They march to the airport. So sometimes we need to be educated on how aviation works. Everybody wants to be in a hurry to get to the destination, but you need to get there alive. Like us in APIS, we notice any snag, our standard operating procedure says that pilot should not move that aircraft until that light is cleared, no matter how minor it is. We can take your time from now to thy kingdom come, but we want to fly you and make sure that when we take off, you will land safely. So this is what we should encourage, not picking up blames where people should understand how it works. If only we understand how this thing works, it will help a lot of us. It will help a lot of us. I've seen there was a day our aircraft had a best strike in Benin. The passengers in Benin, they saw our plane landing, hit by birds. The engine crippled. Are we going to fly you with one engine? No, you will die. So we sent in another aircraft. In fact, one of the brand new ones to Benin that same evening to rescue Benin passengers. That aircraft that was landing had another best strike. The same evening, yes, they know, it's true. So 2 planes belonging to the airline crippled. Now we announced cancellation. They started beating other people's children, our staff. Where is that done in this whole world? They started beating them. Did they create the bird? Well, but is it the function of the airline to chase the bird? Even if the function of FAAN to chase birds, there's always a limit to what also FAAN can do in chasing nature. Remember, it was bird strike that caused the air crash in the United States of America. That aircraft that fell into the Hudson River. Only one. We should thank Nigerian Airlines and thank God Almighty for saving lives in this country. APC alone has had about 18 bird strikes in 1 year. That is 18 engines gone. Who is going to save the airline? Yet we don't understand it. When it happens abroad, they crash into the sea. Here we still manage it and land you safely. And you see that it was a bird strike, and they cancel the flight, and you start beating people. When they cancel your flight, you can only reschedule to the next available time. It is not compulsory that that airline will leave every other schedule the next morning and fly you first. It is not done like that. But in this country, that's what we practice. When they cancel flight as a result of weather, you're going to Akure now and there's weather for several hours and that flight is cancelled. The Akure passengers, I'm using Akure as an example, it happens all over the place. The Akure passengers will demand that the next morning they should be the first people to be flown. It is not done like that anywhere in the world in aviation. What is done is that you go and meet your agent, you go up to the system and book, reschedule your own flight to the next available thing you can get. The only thing the airline can do for you is that they're not going to charge you for that. But not that they will cancel the next morning's flight and fly you first. Once they do it, these are the things we practice in this country. At the end of the day, you begin it with disrupting your operations. And people don't know. And it has come to stay. So unless these things are changed, there will be complaints. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You can see indeed that our session is the elephant in the room. Unfortunately, we don't have time because the gate man of ICC might end up handing over the key to us. We don't want to go through that process. So I think in the next 30 seconds, let me just summarize this way. This aviation industry is capital intensive. Number 2, there is a minimum below which we can never go because of global best practices. It is a value chain, it's connected with other parts of the world, and certainly we are under the radar. We are being watched all the time. The last slide of Barrister Onyema says it's time for action, no excuses. The VC of Aviation University yesterday, he said, yes, we have challenges in Nigeria. We have challenges all over the world. So we just, like the MD mentioned, we need to have a convergence, shake off our challenges, step on them, and move forward. It's a big opportunity for our guest speaker and the eminent panelists, led by the MD of FAAN himself, this morning to speak with the audience. We thank you so much for your attention, for your patience and understanding, and we believe that most of the issues we've discussed will be taken to the next level, while I hand over right now to the MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jibola Olayinka. I'd like to say that the panelists, please come up here for group photograph while we invite the ACI Africa President, Emmanuel Chavez, to join them in this photograph session. Thank you for joining us this day. May I crave indulgence participants, delegates seated behind that, please, we move forward to make it a more compressed sitting and make this, for the camera, compact enough. Please, we give you the next 2 minutes to please move forward so that we can fill all the spaces in front there. Please help me tell somebody that is still seated, that is what we want to do, to move forward. We'll be taking another presentation this time around. I do not, it's more of a submission. And then we'll take a break. We'll come back, we'll take the last paper, and then go for communique and do everything possible to see we tidy up before 2 o'clock. Our next presenter is the Director of Marketing with the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Today, he's talking about the standardization in the aviation industry. Please, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, help me as I welcome Mr. Adewumi Richard A. for his presentation.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for the opportunity to address this gathering. First, I want to appreciate the last panelist. I was thoroughly enlightened today. The next time I get to the airport, when there is a rescheduled flight or canceled flight, I think I will educate people the more. We don't have to break glass. We don't have to behave unruly. It's a lesson that we've learned today. And I hope every one of us will begin to do that campaign to other persons. Quickly, I also want to thank the MD of FAAN. I was privileged to meet him less than a month ago. Such a pleasant meeting. I left with a gift, and his gift is still with me. I also want to thank the MD of FAAN, the MD of Airpeace. I think he's done so much for Nigeria. I begin to call him now Mr. CSR. He's done so much for us, and we appreciate you, sir. I can assure you I will follow you everywhere you go, because some needs you, we need you. Thank you so much. I've been told I have 15 minutes to talk here. Standards Organization of Nigeria is one organization that people seem not to know too much about. But I'll quickly call your attention to little things that will help you to appreciate the Standards Organization of Nigeria. Those days, when you want to send somebody to buy a cap for you, you look for a thread, and then you turn it around the head of the person, and you cut it, and you say, this is the size of the cap that I want. Is it not too archaic? But today, with your measuring tape, you are able to tell somebody the size of my cap is this. You are wearing suit and you're able to say, my suit is size 52, my shoe is 43. These are the beautiful work that standard does. We have taken it for granted for years, but it has made life very convenient for us. And we tend to continue to do that. So I'm going to talk briefly about standardization in aviation industry. Standards Organization of Nigeria, as you're aware, is the only standard body in Nigeria because every country has just one standard body. And in Nigeria, the body responsible for issues of standardization is the Standards Organization of Nigeria. We have come of age, and our vision is just to improve life through standardization and quality assurance. It is important that we ensure that you are safe at all times. We're improving the quality of life you live. And when you come to a place like this, there are minimum requirements that is expected of a room like this, the nature of lighting, and all of those things. These are issues that are addressed by standardization, and that is what we do. And then in doing that, yes, these are some of our mandates I picked from our act. To establish, approve, and declaration of standard in respect of metrologies, materials, commodities, structures, and processes. We also involved in certification of products in commerce and industry throughout Nigeria. We are also the custodian of reference standard for calibration and verification of measuring instrument, investigation of quality of product. I'll be taking this one by one. In the aviation industry today, we're privileged to be in Korea and see what the Metrology Institute of Korea have done for the aviation industry. But in Nigeria today, every issue that has to do with calibration is still being taken outside this country. If SON is well supported, we've set up a Metrology Institute in Enugu, and what do? We engage in calibration of your instruments. We also now have capacity to calibrate secondary instruments because we are the custodians of primary standard that you use for your own calibration in Nigeria now. And so we are also telling this gathering that the capacity to calibrate most of your instruments, we now have it in Nigeria. And if there are instruments we do not have the capacity, once we know there's a service that you require, we'll offer you that service. We'll make arrangement to get it done for you. Like I told you, standardization is a very critical area that every Nigerian must buy into. Today, as a member of the International Organization of Standardization, Standards Organization belongs And before I leave this place today, I have tried to follow some of our airlines, and I also intend to continue to do that because I have on record some of the very good airlines that are doing well globally now that are certified to the requirement of this standard. We are saying this because we also want Nigeria to be international player. We don't want to do business alone and not be able to talk in the, when we are in international forum and be telling people that this is what we are doing. And then today, in the early 90s, with a company that is well structured, a company that have a check process for whatever it does, not just an internal check alone, but you have a third party that comes in to look at what you have done and confirm that you are actually following the requirement of the standard and your procedure. And in doing that, they issue you a certificate. And then when I'm doing business with such organization, I am confident that they also have a way that they do their business that is also approved by us. And then what certification does to you is to ensure that our processes, system, and equipment meet the highest standard of quality and safety. During this gathering, we've heard a lot about safety, and safety. And it is said that the safety you achieve in the air, everything is done on ground. I was in the aircraft, we were going to Ethiopia. I heard some people making jokes. He said, I said, pilot, please, I want to park at Ogwe Lake. I said, park. Now, when you want to park, let all of us come down. But the truth about it is that every safety issue that you did not address on ground becomes a problem to people that are in the air. And that is why the totality of how you manage your system, not just the maintenance work, not just the check alone, but how you manage, including from ticketing to luggage, baggaging, and all of that, how to your client, to your stakeholder, that you have a structure in place to ensure that your clients are safe when they are boarding your plane. About our metrology, which is calibration. We're looking forward to working with the Federal Aviation Authority, Federal Airport Authority, and some of our airlines, and let us identify your needs in the area of metrology so that we can work with you. Some years ago, I remember when we have adulterated fuel in Nigeria, a lot of people were accusing Standards Organization of Nigeria that what are we doing? But nobody asked whether we are allowed to assess sampling and testing of those fuel. Although we have standard, we have laboratory that have the capacity to test those fuel, but because we are not allowed to be part of it. But after that experience, SON has come on board, either aviation fuel, diesel fuel, or whatever, we are now involved in testing of those things. Our laboratory has about 120 laboratories. They have capacity to test product in different areas. All right. Okay, I looked at my time. I have very limited time now. I'll quickly also talk about the certification standard that is available in the aviation sector. That is the AS 9100 for quality management system. It's also a version of the ISO 9001 2015 edition, but this is specifically customized for the aviation sector. Our services in the area of certification include ISO 9001, ISO 14001 on environment, occupational health and safety, food safety management system. We have for information security management system, ISO 50001 on energy management system. We have for ISO 41001 for facility management system. We also have for anti-bribery, that is ISO 37001. Compliance management is there, which is ISO 37301. And we also have now for hotel services accommodation management system, and then traffic management system. You could also integrate any of these standards. And we are not just offering certification, but our certification is backed up by accreditation. That is demonstrating that you have the competence. We are accredited by an international organization that does the calibration, and our certificate is also part of what you will see there. And why we are coming to this forum to talk to you about certification is that today in Nigeria, a lot of organizations are failed in their duty. They have a good system in place. They engage people to look at it, but there is no evidence that people are reviewing what you don't have a third party coming in to do that for you. And unfortunately, a lot of organizations in Nigeria also believe in foreign government agency or foreign certification body to do it for you. There is a requirement in the standard that you must be familiar with the culture of the organization, which we are very familiar with as Nigerians. We will give you value for your money. All we are asking you is that just come to us. We have over 400 auditors all over this country. And in Nigeria today, we have certified over 400 government agencies, parastatals, and organizations. We are the one that certified the first 5 trains of the LNG. We certified most of the flow stations of Shell when we were in Nigeria, when they were still operating well in Nigeria. We certified out of Mobil. We certified for Oando. We certified for Mobil. And all of those government, all of the companies, we certified them. And so we are asking that from today, we are ready to collaborate with you. We want to work with you for system improvement. No matter how good you are, if you do not have evidence of certification, you have no evidence to show the people that you have a structured system that has been tested, that has been certified, and then you have the record to show for it. So we look forward to that. And so on this note, I appeal to every one of us and also to every agency represented here that we are available to discuss with you. Our charges for certification is very minimal. Why? Because government is paying our salary, so we are quite cheap. And quality-wise, all over our 400 auditors are internationally certified, so the experience is there. We compete. We are not just auditors, but we are involved in producing those standards that we use for your certification. So the experience is there when it comes to interpretation of that standard. And then we have been in this business since 1994. That's quite a long time. Most of our auditors are still on ground to deliver service to you. And so I challenge us to come up on board and be a true Nigeria. It is now Nigeria for Nigeria. That is what we are preaching today. I look forward to Airpeace be one of our major certified companies. I look forward to Ibom Air. I look forward to Max Air, because these are the airlines that are fully owned by Nigeria. And I hope that in the next 1 year, we'll be talking about the testimony of Nigeria Airlines being certified. Continue to invite us for this program. Thank you, the MD, and thank you for listening. Thank you so much. If you have any question, we are ready to answer your question.
I think we'll be taking just 2 questions. Okay, we have Mr. Shalangwa, and then we have our gentleman here. Please, can you just pass on the microphone?
without domestic standard. Whose responsibility is it to set up the standards? That is one. Two, we observe that there is a collaboration between NAQS and NAFDAC. Why not with SON? Because you cannot take SON away from NAFDAC because you have to collaborate. You equally have to collaborate with NAQS if we have to get our cargo right. How do we get the three organizations working together for the interest of this country? Three, the use of pesticides in preservation.
Have that problem. So anytime NAFDAC is doing their job and we complement each other. Thank you very much. If I've answered your question.
Okay, we're going to have Mr. Nwokoma, please. And then from there we'll take a tour of our exhibitors here.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kingsley Nwokoma, President of FAAN. SON is very integral, especially in these days that will looking at pushing more for non-oil revenues, you know, and we want some to be more visible. Your visibility is very, very important for us in this industry, you know, and you just said something that I liked, that your certifications are cheap, since you're all government workers. So, but I can see your certifications are top notch. We'll key into your certification, but you need to be very visible. We need to see you around, you know, and if you're around, especially, I was talking about the non-oil exports, which we can get more from, well, you know, like the other clients do. You know, if we have you closer, you know, and the synergy is also very good with the quarantine and NAFDAC. If that collaboration is perfect, I'm sure we'll be able to, you know, get that far. So we want sun around us. We don't have to look for you. If you're around us, you know, we'll get to reach you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your comment. I can assure you that every product that is being tested in Nigeria today, we have standard for it. And so every other agency carrying out that test require the standard produced by the Standards Organization of Nigeria. The only unfortunate thing is that a lot of Nigerians do export without coming to us. It's when they get to the country where they're taking the product, when they now have problems, they come back to us. And so we are doing a lot of campaign. We are working with every agency that is in charge of export. And every time we work with them, when they need us, we are available. We do a lot of enlightenment campaign so that before you take out any product, get our certification and your product will not be rejected. Thank you so much. I think I'm done.
Yes.
MC, thank you for giving us this time. We thank the MD. We appreciate everyone that listened to us. Thank you, and we look forward to doing business with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dewome Richard. Very distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a break this moment for a tour of the exhibition booths. The course of the program, we decided to make provision for others to showcase some of the products that could interest us. So we'll take an exhibition booth tour. All right, I've been instructed to shelve the exhibition tour for this moment so that we can go for tea break, which is going to be just 15 minutes, and come back for the last presentation of the day. Then we have our communique and attempt also to round up this conference. Please, may I cordially invite our VIPs, while our ushers will direct them to their own appropriate place for their tea break. Other delegates, please, as usual, we go to the foyer where provision has been made for us so that we can refresh. In 15 minutes, we are back here so that we can take the third presentation and the last one. Please, let's go for tea.